How you doing? You looking so young, I didn't recognize you.
I wish I felt that way.
I'll call this meeting of the Committee on Ways and Means to order at 3 o'clock. Let the record reflect all members being present. Our Vice Chair, like to call for a motion on minutes.
I will make a motion on the minutes for the August 15th.
Motion, any edits, changes, discussion, or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Any public comment? Don't think so. Okay. Going to move on to Resolution B. It is a grant acceptance for the Michigan Department of Labor and Economic Opportunity for the firefighter turnout gear. We have our chief, who I can't see because of the glare, but I do see that the chief is down there. Sir Ben, would you like to tell us about what's in front of us?
Yeah, back in the spring of this year, we applied for a PPE grant, which is a personal protective equipment grant through the state for turnout gear. And the rationale behind this is that due to some of the weather-related wintertime emergency services delivery, our crews are pretty dependent on a second set of the turnout gear because of the nature of contaminants, exposure, moisture. So it's always a good idea in the fire service to have a backup set. So when the crews return back to the station after fighting a fire, they can remain in service. So that's always been a goal. It includes the helmet. It includes the overcoat with multiple layers for moisture, for heat reduction and resistance, the pants and the suspenders, and the boots. It costs anywhere from $3,800 to $5,200 a set, so it is relatively expensive. So we were able to secure this grant to the tune of about $600,000. We received word earlier today that we should be receiving the funds here, if not later this week. Well, tomorrow is Friday, probably early mid next week. And we have already been field testing through some vendors, some possible alternatives as it relates to the particular manufacturer of this particular personal protective equipment. Now, a more important component of this particular grant is that some past and to a certain extent current turnout gear manufacturers still utilize some chemicals in the makeup of the turnout gear known as PFAS. And I'm sure most everyone in the room has heard of the forever chemicals that have a chemical makeup that do not break down in the air or in water, and they last forever. Hence the term. These chemicals cause cancer, and we've seen an increase of firefighter occupational cancer with particularly prostate and testicular with our male firefighters, breast cancer, and other issues with our female firefighters. And so the industry standard now is to produce turnout gear from a manufacturing standpoint that does not contain PFAS. So that's what we're really excited about with this grant. We will be able to purchase this second set of turnout gear that is PFAS free, and it will allow us to begin building the process so that all of the turnout gear that we replace will now be made of the new chemical free materials. From a National Fire Protection Agency standpoint, the turnout gear is good for 10 years. Every 10 years, we have to replace our turnout gear because that's the life cycle. What we try to do here in Lansing is phase that so that we don't have all of our turnout gear expiring at the same time, so that we can take that phased approach with the purchases. And our crews are very, very excited. We've been working with Zach McElroy from the mayor's office, and he's been kind of leading the effort from an administration standpoint with this particular grant. So we highly recommend that Ways and Means Committee and Council approve the acceptance of this grant so that we can really begin the process internally to reducing the risk of occupational cancer for our firefighters and build on this platform to really forward the initiative to become as chemical free as we can with all of the things that we do with some of the toxicity within modern firefighting.
Question for you, go to Councilman Brown. I know during the appropriation of the COVID ARPA money, some turnout gear was part of that. Was that turnout gear PFAS free?
No, it was not. No, it was not. And that's part and parcel to the situation that we're faced with. This correction from an industry standpoint with PFAS-free turnout gear is relatively new.
Okay.
It is relatively new. So in the midst of COVID, it was an emerging trend from a discussion standpoint. There was such a profit margin, if you will, with the manufacturers that, of course, they were kind of the last to get on board. It really took a bit of legal action from the national level of the International Association of Firefighters to push this issue that we have to do everything we can to reduce the risk with our firefighters. And with some pressure from the national level of IEFF, the manufacturers have kind of come around and now they are producing. We had a manufacturer from Lion, from Globe, and from Morning Pride providing us with field testing components of this turnout gear so some of our crews can wear it, see how it fits, see how it works for them on an active incident. Another concern that I have is that we typically in the fire service are outfitting our female firefighters in a reduced size male gear. That no longer works. We have to find a way for higher levels of protection, especially across the chest and breastplate, across the abdomen and the pelvic area for our female firefighters so we can provide that level of barrier. So that's the next evolution in this process with the manufacturers, that the design of the turnout gear cannot be a one size fits all. We've got to at least get to the point where we separate it by gender based on the anatomical makeup of our female firefighters and what we can do to protect them from that risk.
Thank you, Councilman Spatterford, and thank you all for being here. One of the questions I had was about the ARPA investment and what that gear looked like. So you answered that, so I really appreciate that thoroughness. My question to follow up with that would be, what is the average age of the current gear? You talked about cycling that out, would be my first, and then how long before we're totally chemical free with our entire
Yeah, both of those are great questions. The average age right now, because we did move forward in rapid fashion with ARPA spending because we wanted to take advantage of the monies while they were there. And so we bought probably 33%, maybe 50% of our members with that gear just a couple, 3 years ago. So that gear will have a continued shelf life of about 6 to 7 years. And we anticipate that it's going to take us an additional 5 to 6 years to totally replace our current cache of personal protective equipment so that we are totally PFAS free. This is inclusive of not only the primary set, but also the backup set that we provide. And it's going to be a process because we have to conduct it through a phased approach, because we don't want it all to totally expire at the same time. And then, of course, we don't have the financial flexibility to make that major purchase all at the same time. So we look to do it in increments.
Okay. So you're looking at approximately 11 to 13 years where you feel.
Exactly. We feel reasonably clear that all turnout gear for the city of Lansing is PFAS free.
And then with that, and that's quite a bit of time. I appreciate your passion and your foresight to transition us to something that's more safe, as well as you said, is working with manufacturers for our female firefighters as well. What is the fire department doing to help support, the potential risk that we're putting the firefighters in? Is there additional screenings? Do you have people coming on site? Could you share with us a little bit about how you're protecting our firefighters and with the equipment that we have that we know, based on your testimony here, is harmful?
Yes, sir. Another great question. Year one of my tenure as a fire chief, we identified $150,000 internally to our budget so that we could move forward with NFPA 1582 physical examinations for firefighters. And this was not an ask of an increase of our budget. This was not a request through council and the mayor's office for additional budget funding. My philosophical approach as the fire chief is to reflect skin in the game. So when I went to the mayor year two to say, hey, we need this to be an annual program, $150,000 at a minimum, so that all of our firefighters can be examined head to toe very comprehensively for increased cancer screens and just a general physical examination in and of itself. And of course, we were able to get it approved for year 2 and subsequent years moving forward. Now, my idea is that, and this is what I've shared with our members, is that I want you to get in front of a medical team comprehensively every 6 months. So if we balance what we provide on an annual basis from a fire department standpoint against what you should be providing on an annual basis based on your primary care physician, every 6 months, there should be a comprehensive physical exam, complete with all the labs, with all the testing. Early detection is the key. And I'm sitting here as a personal testament to that. I've had my impacts. And so I'm a big advocate of early detection. Let's get in front of the doctors every 6 months and let's screen our members comprehensively from A to Z. So that is the biggest program that is new relative to the Lansing Fire Department that we've implemented over the last couple of years. And that's an annual program that we'll be looking to support from this point forward. We have seen a pretty significant increase in the fire service and occupational cancer. And that has driven some of the mental health challenges that we deal with our members. City of Lansing, we have a very high volume department. We run 30,000 calls or greater a year out of 6 firehouses. Based on industry standard, I've had conversations with the mayor about right sizing and ensuring that we can look to adjust because our folks are taking a beating. I mean, we've got firefighters, especially those on the ambulances, that eat standing up because the calls continue to drop. They get no sleep at night because the calls continue to drop. Right now, we have 5 ambulances in service. I've got data on my desk with a couple different studies that show the city of Lansing really needs 8 to 9 ambulances on the road 24/7, 365. So that's the end game. We're working toward that. We want to build to that. We know that we have competing interests. We know public safety is huge for the city and all of the other city components and the moving parts. So we want to continue to conduct the due diligence, serve the community as best we can. But I am a strong advocate of our firefighters taking care of themselves. You are the human resource as our greatest asset is more than just a cliche, especially when you work a 24-hour shift and you may run 15, 18 calls within that shift. That's a lot. That's well above the industry recommendation. So we're going to continue to work hard. We've got some great firefighters. They turn themselves inside out to serve this community. And it's my job to keep them motivated, keep them engaged, but also to show them that we're swinging for the fences for them. And, in my conversations with the mayor, it's just bringing that information to light, having the data to back it up. So it's not just Brian Sturdivant's opinion. These are what the numbers show, Mr. Mayor. And our call volume has increased by 1,200 to 1,500 calls a year over the course of the last 5 years. Call volume is going to continue to go up. It's not going to go down. What can we do to balance that with the resources we have available to provide that service?
Thank you so much for the advocacy as well as sharing, because it's eye-opening and that message continues to, ring in at least, I can speak for myself and my heart and passion for our community and people who serve. So thank you so much. And I'll continue to be an advocate of a proponent of change and support of the work that you all are doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chief.
Yes.
With that, we'll take a motion to approve the resolution.
Yes, motion to approve the resolution for the grant acceptance for firefighter turnout gear.
It's a proper motion. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Next up, we have Amber presenting a resolution for grant acceptance for cities for financial empowerment. On Amber.
Hello, everybody. First of all, apologies for how late this is. We thought we had taken care of it and then realized we hadn't. This is a Cities for Financial Empowerment Fund grant to us. It is not an annual grant, but we do get invited to apply every year, and we've gotten it every year. So it's not set up as an annual grant, but we have gotten it. In the beginning, CFE Fund would give us $10,000 a year to teach one or two other cities how to launch an FEC. And that could include site visits, which they also paid for. And that was $10,000 each time. And then they started also offering us the opportunity to help other cities open an OFE, or an Office of Financial Empowerment. We've been doing that. We're working with Jackson, Tennessee right now, who've launched theirs. They're doing things differently this year. And so the grant was a little bit more. It was 20,000 versus the 10 and the 15. And this is for OFE launches. And what they're doing, instead of having us work with one or two cities, they're having a group of grantees work with 9 cities. So it'll be more in the way of like webinars and virtual learning, and they have the opportunity to visit us if they want to observe. And the $20,000 doesn't require any match and also is unrestricted.
Thank you. Thank you for being here, Ms. Amber. My question would be, which I always am excited about, opportunities to empower and employ others into significant work that impact transformationally. But I do know that we've been in a transition ourselves.
Yes.
And so how are we helping balance other communities and at the same time, getting ours back in this, strategic vision that you've shared with us over the last year? Would you be able to speak to that a bit?
Yeah, absolutely. And the transition you're talking about is Financial Empowerment Center, which is one of 4 programs that we run. And we run also at any given moment 3 to 7 grant funded initiatives at the same time. And so the municipal financial empowerment field is very small. We were tied for second place as having the first FECs. There was 5 groups that started the year we did after we modeled it after. Financial Empowerment Centers, which are centers for free one-on-one financial counseling. We closed ours last September. We are doing a ribbon cutting next Thursday. We're all invited at 10:30 in the morning at Rio School, where we will relaunch. So we have 2 counselors in place. And it took us about a year to do that because it took us that long to create the city positions and get the hiring done. But we are now ready for relaunch, and they are very excited. So to answer your question, we always have been committed to helping the field. And the biggest funders that we have are Cities for Financial Empowerment Fund and National League of Cities. And so we have always approached it as, in order to keep getting grant funded by these organizations to do pilots and try new things with financial empowerment, we do some of these projects to help other cities. And so generally, it only takes about an hour a month to do the TA that we do. It's really not a huge burden, but it is a big benefit to have that extra 20,000. And because it's unrestricted, instead of using general fund taxpayer dollars to furnish the FEC this time, we used money from that grant to buy new desks and nice chairs for clients and a plant or 2 and make it a welcoming space. So
thank you for explaining, because that's, so that's excellent.
Yeah, we're really excited. Please send everyone that you hear of having any struggles financially to us. We are ready to go. So we will be starting, the ribbon cutting is the 12th, and we will be starting the minute we are cleared to start by CFE Fund, which means they have to analyze their tests, which are all essays. So they just got done doing NACCC training, which is for credit counseling. And when they have been certified will be when their tests have been analyzed, then they've passed the test. So as soon as they say they passed, then we start counseling.
Fantastic.
Amber, the turnaround, do we ever do a follow-up on these additional trainings that we go forward and help and get them set up? Do we ever do any training? And will there be any follow-up after these 9 cities?
Yes, what we do is they have a Financial Empowerment Center specific conference every 2 years. And then they have a coalition meeting twice a year of the CFE coalition. Interestingly, Lansing was the first co-chair elected to the CFE coalition back in 2015 when we were the co-chair. So that coalition is kind of the field. And it has about 18 cities in it, and that's where we all present to one another. So when we go there, we usually do a presentation on something that worked and something that didn't. And the other cities can copy off of us on what worked and give us advice on what didn't. And so we do a lot of that in the field in meetings.
Questions? All right, we need a motion, please.
I'll make a motion to accept the grant for Cities for Financial Empowerment Fund.
This is proper motion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Ribbon cutting Thursday, golf outing Friday. If anyone wants more information, hit me up.
Do we have an email from you for invitation?
This is the.
Golf outing.
If you could email me, I would
Yes,
appreciate that.
I will get that out to all
Thank you so
council.
much.
Yes.
Next item is item 4D, it's a resolution for grant acceptance for the Michigan Department of Environmental, Great Lakes and Energy Community Energy Management Grant.
Awful, right? Thank you. This, I think, should be fairly straightforward. So it is a State of Michigan Eagle grant through their Community Energy Management Grant Funds. And we were notified of a $100,000 award that we plan to use for a non-motorized plant update. That our city's non-motorized plant has not been updated. I think it's been since 2011. And since then, we have now our sustainability plan to consider. We have like scooters and e-bikes and things like that that are just weren't relevant back then. So we want a plan that reflects all of that.
I have a quick question, sorry. I have a question about that. Does non-motorized plan include like pedestrian safety as well?
Yeah.
Oh, I just, for the record, for the people, could you share your name and your role so that way they know?
Absolutely. Lori Welch. I'm sorry.
We record this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Lori Welch. I'm the sustainability manager.
You want to know all the good work you're doing, so.
Thank you. Yeah.
Nope, I just wanted to make sure, because I know she's been working so hard. I would love to see her here, so I want to make sure we know we have a sustainability manager, and here's some of the work that's going on, so.
Thank you.
Yes.
This is, does the work have to be done on a certain timeline?
We have until the end of next August.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll need a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve the grant acceptance for Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy Management Grant. There we go.
That is a proper motion. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. The next item is our budget priorities. I did kind of share with Sherry, I wasn't quite ready to sort of, I didn't have anything yet to think about. Thank you. Wanted to make sure the committee was ready to start thinking about this. So Councilmember Carter, I think this is your first go around of this. Okay, so what happens is each committee has a chance to sort of look at budget priorities that make sense for their areas of purview, sometimes not exactly their areas of purview, but can fit into that. Then also in the committee as a whole, we have a chance to do it as individual council members, or if there's something that you want to priorities, we can discuss it as a committee. We have until October 1st.
Right, so our last meeting in September is the 30th.
Okay.
So it will be adopted at COW. Whole document from each committee will piece into one whole document, and it'll go to COW on the 30th for passage.
So our next committee meeting is 2 weeks from today.
September 19th.
19th. I can't do math. That's why I'm being in charge of the waste and means committee. So that'll be when we put this document together. So if there's something that you would like to consider that day, let us know. We can have this agenda item or wait till now. Generally speaking.
Are we able to, I know it was helpful for me when I first came on board to have, and Sherry's been really good at this, is the previous year or two of
Yep.
what was kind of recommended, so. kind
And
of
that's
just-
in the packet, I think. Is this, there's only this year's, right? Yeah. The only thing Ways and Means did last year was the one that's in the packet.
Okay.
Yes.
Is there,
That was it.
okay, right here. So is there anything from previous years or?
And the whole set was in last week's cow, is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah, so that'll be in last week's cow agenda packet.
Yeah, it'll be this coming Fridays, or the one that goes out. Oh, it just went out today.
So is that one the one from 2 years?
That was last year.
That's what I'm saying. So do we have one for this committee for maybe 2 years or 3 years ago, just to see?
Yeah, and then everything from this committee that was 2 or 3 years ago had been accomplished, so we took it out.
Yeah.
But good. to-
Yeah, that's why, because that helped me with the history when you guys shared and how, and then we got it, supported. It's not in the.
Okay.
And each committee is quite different. So I've been learning that over the history helps too.
Right.
Quick.
In efforts.
Yep.
So the 19th will be if we have anything to finalize as a group, we're gonna do that then.
Okay.
Any other business for the committee?
Why is this?
Percent operations. Might have even got.
I looked at that. I thought it was something special. I didn't even,
Sit
I
operation.
didn't even
I did
register.
catch that one.
Good. I was concerned about you yesterday.
Missing letters I can see apparently. Extra letters.
Extra letters.
Line.
The explanation, appreciate it.
Of course. With no further business at 3:25, we are adjourned.
Good meeting, Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you all.